Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Or not happy Monday. Kind of a chill weekend, actually, if I'm being honest, especially for news. Excuse me. We got a heavy China show today. TSMC is struggling to not have their tech used in China. Huawei announces new AI chip. China hosted a robot half marathon. And the crypto industry wants to compete with banks more. That's what I think it is. So get a good show, and then we might watch some videos later. And that'll do it. I'll do it. We'll just get right into it. We kind of have a little bit of a saga here. We have first. Let's check the stock market. I think Nvidia is down today. I'm trying to use earbuds instead of like my big headphones, but it's hard with like I just like sound funny. I need headphones just because it like sounds I could hear myself. Bro, they always use this guy as like the reaction for the Yahoo Finance. Oh god, bro. Like the what's happening to Jerome Powell, like I don't really like that. It's a little too spooky. And considering how much treasury bills I own right now, like yeah, he wants them to cut interest rates. I think the next meeting is in May. Yeah. Anyways, Nvidia keeps making new chips for China amid US crackdowns. Yeah, Nvidia's down 5% today. Fuck. Yeah. I lean forward a lot when I'm like, yeah. Nvidia down overall. Definitely, market is just down. Probably like Nvidia 2x, NVDL's down 10%. NVDX is down 11. Dang, Rocket Lab's down 6% today. Like, how is SCHD? SCHD is probably heavy on Nvidia. That's why. But like 2% on an ETF, like that's a lot. But like, guess it's like dollars, but still, like this should not move that much. Reddit's down 5%. Reddit's like just up, but Reddit's everywhere. I don't even know what's going on with them. They're down 43% year to date. Oh, there's an outage. $125. When is Reddit's earnings actually? Because May 1. Okay, next week. Next week actually is a lot of earnings. Let's just look at earnings. Which is good because no stream Tuesday, Wednesday of this week. Or no stream Wednesday, Thursday this week. Might do a gaming stream one of the days, but yeah. Okay, we got we have 2026. We want next week. Bro, like this calendar, we want earnings. Here we go. And we want it to be next week. Whoops, not Sunday. We sort by market cap. It's alphabetical. 500 pages of alphabetical. Like, come on, Yahoo Finance. And we'll get into the show here. We want next week. Yeah, we got Google, Tesla, IBM, AT&T, Verizon. Yeah, we got a lot next week. Texas Instruments, Boeing, Comcast, Lockheed Martin. I'm curious about some of the military contractors. Like I think they might be like, I do wonder with the tariffs and us allowing, actually no, I guess like NATO would probably be the same, but I feel like Europe is building their own forces out. Anyways, cool. Okay, next week we got a lot of earnings, so we'll cover that next week. Nvidia's not doing too hot, so all right, let's jump into it. We have a few articles here on like the saga of TSMC, Nvidia, and leading up to Huawei's chip. So US chip controls will benefit China's Nvidia rivals like Huawei. Analysts. Yeah, last week we covered the how Nvidia took a $5.5 billion charge on their inventory for the H20 graphics cards. With the new Trump export controls saying that they need a license to actually ship the chips to China. And Jensen Huang pretty much went to China immediately for. I mean, people are speculating. But in Jensen's, I guess realistically, Nvidia does have like employees there. Pretty sure, like they still have customers there, and employees. So I mean, there plausible deniability there, but he was. I think I put it like he was politicking. He was there on not just for business, but political reasons, definitely. And AMD also took a charge, but the H20 graphics card was made specifically for China, and it was a less powerful version of their H100 that you cannot get in China. So China's still gonna need like graphics cards. Like clearly, if Nvidia had $5.5 billion inventory worth that they're ready to sell to China, they have customers with demand there, and so someone needs to fill the gap. Likely gonna be Huawei. The U.S. tightens controls on Nvidia's sales to China. The country's rising domestic artificial intelligence chip makers like Huawei stand to benefit. Semiconductor analysts say. The Commerce Department said last week that Nvidia's H20 graphics processing units designed to comply with previous U.S. restrictions would now require export licenses, as would additional chips from AMD. Nvidia said it had already halted exports of the GPUs, resulting in quarterly charge of approximately $5.5 billion. But the American AI darling's loss could be a gain for China's local AI chip players as Beijing... excuse me, I'm waking up still. Beijing continues to search for its own Nvidia alternative, semiconductor analyst told CNBC. Yeah, and so there's only a few players in China, I guess, for like high-end chips. SMIC, we have SMIC, Semiconductor Manufacturing International Corporation. Chinese, it's the state-owned semiconductor manufacturing, kind of like TSMC. That'd kind of be the closest comparison, I would say. But it only goes down to 7 nanometer, which is not extremely high tech. I wonder who makes Huawei's chips. It has to be SMIC, right? Though totally owned subsidiary HiSilicon, Huawei's the largest domestic designer of chips. It frequently partners with SMIC to manufacture its chips. Got it. As of April 2024, Huawei's also building to support the construction of 5 semiconductor fabs. Okay. Yeah, so they're kind of like Nvidia, where like they just design it and then they don't actually do the manufacturing. Got it. But the American AI darling's loss could be a gain for China's local AI chip players in Beijing. Can use a search for its own Nvidia alternative. There are several local Chinese companies that produce chips to compete with Nvidia, said Brady Wang. Yo, Brady gang, what's up? Shout out, represent. Associate Director at Counterpoint Research. Examples of these local AI chip makers include tech powerhouse Huawei and the partially state-owned and publicly listed Cambricon Technologies, which designs GPUs. We did hear about these guys before, but the logo looks like Camtasia Studio. Oh yeah, okay, we did see this GPU because I said I hate the blue and white because it kind of looks like cheap. I like the font for the logo too, compared to Nvidia. So it's pretty much only GPUs too. Shares of Cambricorn were up over 10% in the past 5 trading days amid news of the latest Nvidia controls. Stock is up over 400% in the past 12 months. Dang. What are they listed on? Oh, here we go. Traded as Shanghai Stock Exchange. Like how? Like can an American just buy? Like how would an American invest in this company? Theoretically speaking, up 400% year to day or past year. This is it. Email, their phone number. Profitable enterprise at the time of listing. That's an interesting metric. They just released their Q1 2025 report. I don't know. I mean, I guess that's like a can take forever to load this. Okay. Yeah, 400% over the past 12 months. These local competitors now have greater impetus and opportunity to grow and improve their solutions. Wang said, adding to that he expects that demand for their GPUs will increase. Yeah. I mean, I think that's generally the case. Can China fill the gap? Analysts pointed to Huawei as a clear leader in China's race to find NVIDIA competitor. Yeah, relatively speaking, I guess. It's interesting because so many of like the companies in China are just like conglomerates in the sense that they produce many different like many different they manufacture many different things in like desperate industries that like are not really interlinked necessarily. I feel like that's kind of the strength of China. It's also interesting to think about how now that we have this kind of like AI race, so to speak, or Cold War, if you want to like put it in a different term, with China, I feel like that's the only reason why it's relevant that we have manufacturing capabilities. If this wasn't the case, like, you know, we would happily just still use China to manufacture our stuff. We would not have to worry about manufacturing, so forth and so on. But because so much of now, like, we need chips, but we also need like manufacturing to kind of get to the next level, so to speak. I'm explaining this poorly. I'm not like sharing my thoughts well, but I guess it's interesting looking at, like, if we go back to the Industrial Revolution, you know, we became powerful because of our manufacturing ability. Now it's kind of almost the inverse, where we are isolating, but because we don't have the manufacturing capability that we used to have, it's actually hurting us. And I guess it's kind of full circle. It's almost ironic now that we have such high technology, but we actually still need the basics like manufacturing to compete on the world level with our current situation of like this protectionism, whatever, like tariffs, and now that everyone hates us, the rest of the world essentially, like we're kind of forced now to like figure it out. But I guess it's interesting, this full circle where it's like we didn't need manufacturing, like it was kind of below us in a way, you know, like quote unquote. You know, we let more emerging economies like take over like this manufacturing, while we focused on like service level and like knowledge service jobs and like knowledge work jobs. And now it's kind of like that's like actually biting us in the butt. Now I don't know though how much, you know, it's hard because like the whole like China, like, or like Cold War AI race, I guess like it's inevitable that it almost came to this, and so it's kind of like maybe we should have like thought of this earlier. Unless everyone is overestimating China's abilities. I feel like it was actually more so like the status quo, the like democratic status quo, like not really caring. Like they may have known, but they're just like don't really care because like things were good, I guess. And now that now that it's like more serious, and we could also kind of like taste it, you know, like AI's here, like we're getting improvements, you know, so to speak, pretty like regularly, and it's getting like more and more powerful, theoretically, you know, kind of, quote unquote, that it's, you know, it's within reach, I guess, is like kind of like, you know, we're getting a little palate tease of what's to come. And I think that was like maybe a little wake up call. But I guess it's kind of like now it's like looking back, it's easy to look back and say this, but it's like why did we not see that previously? Or the other theory is like we did, but like life was good, so we didn't care. I think that's more so it. And we probably just didn't expect it to escalate this quickly, especially with, you know, Trump kind of flip-flopping with tariffs and like, I guess not with China, but no, he keeps giving all this like, no, he does, because he's giving all these exemptions. But yeah, anyways, I guess it's interesting about like our current state, how we're kind of come full circle. Manufacturing is important now again, I guess, and maybe we should have like acted a little sooner if we want to stay in the lead. Okay, can China fill the gap? Analysts point to Huawei as a clear leader in China's race to find an NVIDIA competitor. The US blacklisted company has been working on its own Ascend 910 GPU series, the latest of which is reportedly the Ascend 910C. Yes, and the Ascend 910C, I'm pretty sure just two Ascend 910s like combined. And I swear NVIDIA did something like this previously too. Also, yeah, Huawei is like they're a big telecommunications manufacturer, and their equipment I'm pretty sure is banned, and we've even like the government put money to replace their equipments due to like spying fears. And their I swear it's like Biden, we put out like an arrest warrant for one of the executives, and they landed in Canada, and Canada arrested them on behalf of the US. I'm not sure what came of that, but we always had like some drama with America. Actually, I had a Huawei, I still have it, I think, somewhere, but a Huawei tablet, like Android tablet. I bought it like years ago. And it was a good tablet. Okay, with NVIDIA's H20 and other advanced GPUs restricted, domestic alternatives like Huawei's Ascend series are gaining traction, said Doug O'Loughlin, industry analyst and independent semiconductor research company. Oh, SemiAnalysis. Okay, cool. Yeah, and SemiAnalysis is a good, we talked about them. We pretty much bring them up every time we talk about TSMC or chips. Okay, a recent report from SemiAnalysis states that although Huawei remains a generation behind in chips, the company is making waves with the new hardware that uses them. While there are still gaps in the software maturity and overall ecosystem readiness, hardware performance is closing in fast. Is this the guy?
Taking a big hit this morning. NVIDIA shares, of course, is to see down over 6%. The company says it will record a $5.5 billion charge.
This is from the other day. However, experts note that export controls have also hindered China's abilities to produce advanced GPUs at the same scale that NVIDIA can through its partner, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, TSMC, the world's largest contract chip maker. Huawei is shown to be a competitive fableless chip designer, but they struggle to find enough supply from their foundries. So, I mean, they probably suck at producing them. Said Felix Lee, a semiconductor-focused equity analyst for Morningstar. But I think that's... I mean, like, that's normal as, like, you're, like, starting out, I guess. Like, it's not like you could just be, like, instantly, like, great, like, right off the bat, unless you're some, like, crack tech bro at something. Unless you're a 10x engineer. And there's something, there's, like, a law for, like, the more you manufacture something, the more efficient it becomes, and, like, the better you are at it. Because TSMC's chip-making equipment includes U.S. technology, the company has complied with U.S. trade restrictions on Huawei and the shipment of advanced chips to China. That has left Chinese companies increasingly reliant on domestic foundries like SMIC, Semiconductor Manufacturing International Corporation. Nevertheless, SMIC is under its own export controls, which prevent it from accessing some of the world's most advanced chip-making equipment. Yeah, ASML, who actually had earnings last week, they are pretty much the only people who can make the equipment, like for at least the most advanced chips. That's what TSMC uses. ASML is a Dutch company though, but they were put on export restrictions. I think even Biden did this, where they cannot ship the equipment. They can't give the equipment to China, and China was one of their biggest customers. So yeah. Given those conditions, Lee said he remains very skeptical that Chinese chip foundries would be able to supply enough H20 GPU alternatives to meet the demand of Chinese tech companies anytime soon. Are export controls working? Yeah, and there's also a balance that needs to be had with, like, export controls, the word I'm looking for, not regulation, sanctions, which I guess, like, export controls are just, like, I feel like sanctions is kind of a broad term, but, you know, you don't want to apply too much like restrictions on them, because then it actually incentivizes or encourages them to build up more of their local, their more domestic manufacturing, you know, for whatever the thing you're putting sanctions on. So in this case, semiconductor, it's like we used to sell them these H20 chips, which were a lot less powerful than, you know, older generation chips that we are using. H100s, H20 was just like a dumbed down version of it. Not dumbed down, but, like, you know, less powerful version of H20. But now it's like, now that we're giving them incentive to just build out more powerful chips, which is what we're seeing with the, what's they're calling it, 920, the Huawei 920. You know, if we maybe would have let them, like, you know, flooded the market with, like, H20, then it's like, okay, then they don't really have any incentive to build their own chips, I guess, you know, or at least, like, not like immediately, because we're drip supplying them with these, you know, GPUs that are powerful enough, but they're not, like, over powerful where, like, they could beat, you know, the US, I guess. But, you know, we've seen with DeepSeek that they've, instead of, you know, taking on the challenge of developing better hardware, they are increasing their efficiency in how they train and, like, more of their software side. So that's you know, that's another struggle. So you kind of have to pick your poison, I guess. I think the hardware is hard, you know, the chips are harder to do, but they have better, like, more payoff. Like, you have more control when you have the chips. So yeah, and it's not like we could put any restriction on the software stuff. Like, that's kind of hard. Like, anyone could write code. Like, it's, you know, it's not really, can't really change that. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't really know what's gonna happen with this going forward. Okay, Are export controls working? Experts say that Chinese chip makers won't need to immediately fill this H20 demand thanks to stockpiles and previous export exemptions and loopholes. Last month, the Information reported that Chinese companies had placed orders for at least $16 billion in H20 server chips in the first 3 months of the year. NVIDIA did not immediately respond to a CNBC request for comment. And this is also just a trend with tariffs and exporting. Like, a lot of companies who manufacture in like Asia, or at least just overseas, are like rushing and like stockpiling a bunch of they were rushing to stockpile a bunch of like product, and then tariffs went into effect, but then like all the carve outs came in, and then it was all for like electronics and shit that was made overseas. I was like, what was even the point? They probably spent all this money to rush things, and then Trump like didn't actually impose the tariffs. Like, I mean, I kind of, as a CEO, I kind of be pissed because like Tim Cook, Apple CEO, we were flying like plane loads of iPhones from like India and shit just because they don't want to get caught with tariffs. But then they're like, oh, actually, yeah, like smartphones are exempt. Like, bro, you couldn't have told us before we, probably paid to rush all this shit. Like, I don't know. According to Counterpoint's weighing, it's unclear how long different firms' existing stockpiles will last, but they provide Chinese chip makers more time to scale their GPU manufacturing. Yeah. And this is kind of like, like their stockpile will give them room while they can't buy more chips to distribute or centralize, as China kind of does. And then in the meantime, they'll start likely pumping more money and giving more resources or, whatever to Huawei, SMIC. What was the other company that we looked at? Cambricorn. Yeah, there's reports in Mandarin Chinese. To continue building out more chip stuff. So I mean, yeah, that makes sense. Meanwhile, according to SemiAnalysis report, Huawei's Ascend chip shows how China's export controls have failed to stop firms like Huawei from accessing critical foreign tools and subcomponents needed for its advanced GPUs. Black market, baby. While the Ascend chip can be fabricated at SMIC, this is a global chip that has HBM from Korea. I think this is like high bandwidth memory or some shit. Primary wafer production from TSMC. And it's fabricated by tens of billions of wafer fabrication equipment from US, Netherlands, and Japan, report said. But like, I thought TSMC can't. TSMC must just be making like 7 nanometer or whatever, like they like older. Their older equipment, whatever nanometer we read earlier. And I'm sure for them it's a good deal because they're probably getting use out of like this old foundry process that like, or like, old process for making like chips that like American companies probably don't need as much anymore because they want the newest high tech, versions. And so they're just like selling it to Chinese companies. And I'm sure it works out for them because they're like, oh, cool. Like this equipment that's like kind of, has less demand now, we could sell to these other markets that need it, I guess. SemiAnalysis added that SMIC's production capacity has the potential to grow massively given the continued access to foreign tools and the lack of effective sanctions and enforcements. Like, how are they getting the foreign tools? Like, it has to, like, right? TSMC was reportedly under investigation by the U.S. Department of Commerce after a chip made for China. After a chip it made for the China-based SoftGo matched one found in Huawei's Ascend 910B artificial intelligence processor. Uh-oh. Oh yeah, here. This is in 2024. TSMC suspends orders of Softco. So what do they make like AI ASIC boxes? HD video analysis? What is this? RISC, so they make RISC-V chips, which is like an open chip architecture. Look at this. It's interesting that they like security, traffic, park, industry, mine, anti-fire. Okay, here we go. Edge deep learning inference processor, 32-channel HD video intelligence, 32 video hardware decoding. So this is like video analysis. Also, I am the Chat GLM 2-6B model. Bro, even Chinese AI companies suck at naming. Just like their American counterparts. I'm a chatbot created using the BM1684X processor and independently developed by Softco and open source large language model Chat GLM 26B. Sofan Mall. Oh, so TPU. So they're calling it TPU. That's what Google has, the tensor processing units. So video analysis, is this for like looking at videos? Okay, we're actually let's finish this article first. Given reports of export control workarounds and Huawei's GPU progress, a number of semiconductor experts have expressed doubt that the latest restrictions on Nvidia will achieve their intended purpose. Yeah. And I think, though, this is kind of where I was talking earlier about sanctions and export controls, regulations, whatever. Okay. We might look into this a different day. Yeah, it's like we may actually just be giving China the upper hand because now we're giving them the go ahead to just like fully develop their chips. Like now you can't have any American chips, and so what they're not just gonna be like, oh shoot, well I guess we're just gonna do nothing. It's like, no, bro, they're gonna be like, all right, fucking put your heads down. Here's some money. Like start building out our own, semiconductor manufacturing supply chains. I mean, they already have them, but it's like more so like beef them up, make them better. Yeah. U.S. controls on GPUs and semiconductor manufacturing equipment have primarily damaged U.S. companies, including NVIDIA, while having marginal impact on the ability of Chinese companies to develop frontier AI models, said Paul Triolo, partner and senior vice president of China at DJA Group. Instead, export controls have encouraged the Chinese semiconductor industry to become more innovative while designing out U.S. technology, he added. Yep, exactly. Both of those. Next month, NVIDIA may face additional restrictions on what it can export under AI diffusion rules, first proposed by the Biden administration. Dang. Yeah. This is yeah, I mean, NVIDIA's I guess NVIDIA's incentives are just like completely whack. Like, so it's hard to like trust, I guess, like 100%. Because like NVIDIA obviously is incentivized to want to sell to China. They're incentivized to let AI go loose and wild because like NVIDIA's like the number one company so far, like actually like making money. It's like obviously OpenAI is like benefiting a lot, but NVIDIA's like making money. Like they're bringing in bank. from selling their chips due to AI. So it's like they have nothing but their incentives are just like likely not aligned with like maybe what's the best. So you do have to think about that. I'm not gonna read this, but yeah, what is I guess like are these algorithm server, can consumers buy these, and how much do they cost? Why are these video analysis? Let's just look at this. What's the Chinese currency is like RMB? Oh, this is yen. Wait, is this a Japanese company? They don't have like any address or anything listed. 10 cities across China, including Beijing. Okay. As well as international countries such as Singapore. Okay. I'm pretty sure this is RMB. Yeah, this seems a bit more in line. I really like the font though. And like this literally seems like Altered Carbon, like Cyberpunk, like it's like towers in the sky. Oh yeah, let's look at so this is like $100,000. Like what is this? Like how much does this cost? 5,600? 768 bucks. But this looks like, to me this looks like something that you'd plug in to like do like facial recognition on like security cameras and like process the video. Like that's what it seems like these are. Oh, here we go. Support various algorithms such as person, vehicle, non-vehicle, object recognition, video structure, trajectory behavior analysis, trajectory. So this is like self-driving cars or some shit. Like that's what it kind of seems like. Support smart park security, industrial control, business, and other. I bet you though there's probably a lot more of these companies in China, because I think a lot of these are also just used in manufacturing and like robotics too. So I could see this being like actually a large market for this. Here we go. Smart Park. This is a cool building actually. Facial recognition, security, checking. Bro, I hate facial recognition. Smart retail, goods recognition, smart stores application, checkpoint, automatic vehicle identification, law enforcement assistance, smart parking. Yeah. Interesting. Oh, yeah, it supports like PyTorch, TensorFlow. I wonder if there's like a Chinese version of like TensorFlow or PyTorch or like one of the AI machine learning type of frameworks. Okay, let's continue this saga here. That took way too long, if I'm being honest, but whatever. I'm enjoying the topic. Okay. TSMC warns it can't fully prevent AI chips reaching China. TSMC disclosed in its latest annual report that it faced difficulties ensuring its chips don't end up with Huawei, which is under US sanctions. I wonder how though, because the only way I could think of is like some company lying to them, then in a different country, like say like Vietnam or something, and then it's a Chinese company in Vietnam. They import to Vietnam and they just like ship it straight to mainland China, which is how people are doing the inverse of that, are getting around tariffs, where Chinese companies will have a hub or whatever, a shell company in like Vietnam or Malaysia. They would ship it to there, and then they would just ship it to America and avoid tariffs from China. The company said it cannot fully track how its chips are used after being sold to clients, making it hard to prevent third-party diversions. Yeah, and I think that's kind of the... They may sell to a client who is within all the guidelines, but then not actually... And then them not follow the guidelines, but that's not TSMC's fault. Like, TSMC chips are often built into products by other companies, including major clients like Nvidia and Qualcomm, making full compliance challenging. After learning in 2024 that its chips have reached Huawei via third party, TSMC halted shipments and reported the incidents to US and Taiwanese authorities. Halted shipments where, though? To who? The US government has tightened restrictions on China access to advanced chips and with new regulations. Just earlier this month targeting AI chips. Semiconductor ghost trails reveal persistent sanctions evasion challenge. TSMC disclosure about limited supply chain visibility highlights a problem affecting the entire semiconductor industry as authorized chips find unauthorized destinations through complex intermediaries. Huawei's Ascend 910B AI chip. I guess I don't really fully like trust the source, I guess, so I'm kind of just like reading with a bit of skepticism. So yeah, just heads up, I guess. Huawei's SN910B AI chip case demonstrates how sophisticated these evasions networks have become, with companies like Softco Technologies, who we just looked at, and Singapore-based Power Air, allegedly involved in rerouting advanced silicon to sanctioned entities. Power Air, this is not one I've heard of either, but I'm sure it's similar to Softco. Power Air oilless compressors, that's such like an interesting... Yeah, this is what we're talking about, but I don't know what this says. Power Air, to China. No. China's air power? No. Whatever. We're not going to be able to look. This pattern of sanction circumvention isn't new. As early 2019, industry analysts observed Huawei stockpiling components and placing large orders through HiSilicon to prepare for potential supply chain disruptions. U.S. blacklisting 16 Chinese firms in the latest enforcement action shows regulators are increasingly targeting not just end users, but the entire middle layer ecosystem that facilitates chip diversion. Interesting. For semiconductor manufacturers, tracing chip journeys has become extraordinarily difficult due to legitimate multi-tier distribution networks where components change hands multiple times before reaching end products. Yeah, I guess, like, to me, this, like, no offense, I guess, like, the Trump administration, sometimes they're, like, just kind of conservatives in general. Like, they don't go after, like, the right, like, they just want someone to blame always. And so they just go after someone, even though it's not the right person, but they just, like, need someone to point fingers at. TSMC is, like, the easiest person because they're the most, like, known, and also they're the easiest to blame. But, like, it is, I do, you know, in giving them TSMC the benefit of the doubt in the sense that, like, it's not their responsibility if, like, you know, if who they vet to sell to is safe and then they decide to go against that and then start selling to other people. Once they know then that person is doing it, sure, then it seems like that they're stopping. But, like, if they don't know, it's like, how is that, like, what are they gonna, like, what can they even do? TSMC's compliance challenges stem partly from a critical U.S. export control regulation stipulating that foreign-made items containing more than 25% U.S. origin content are subject to the same restrictions as U.S. products. Seems kind of like How do you determine that? This threshold creates complex compliance challenges for TSMC, which relies heavily on American manufacturing equipment and technology to produce its advanced chips. Industry analysts have previously expressed concerns about TSMC's ability to comply with this threshold requirement, given the significant percentage of U.S. technology in its fabrication process. This rule effectively globalizes U.S. export controls through the semiconductor supply chain, leaving non-U.S. companies like TSMC caught between their commercial interests and geopolitical restrictions. As a result, TSMC must implement extensive customer due diligence while acknowledging inherent limitations of downstream visibility, position reflected in their latest annual report. Reports careful language about no assurance of perfect compliance. Dang. Yeah, they're just like, bro, we're trying. Like, everyone needs us, so it's like I feel like they have pretty good, like, bargaining. We looked at, I recognize this van actually because I think we looked at this at CES, where it's like this van and this like little helicopter like goes into the back of the van. All right, we're actually gonna skip this because we're premature to talk about it. Okay, so now we're getting into the actual Huawei chip. Huawei readies new AI chip for mass shipment as China seeks NVIDIA alternatives, sources say. Huawei Technologies plans to begin mass shipments of its advanced 910C artificial intelligence chips to Chinese customers as early as next month. People familiar with the matter said. Some shipments have already been made, they added. The timing is fortuitous for Chinese AI companies which have been left scrambling for domestic alternatives to the H20, the primary chip that NVIDIA has recently been allowed to sell freely in the Chinese market. Why is there an O at the end? What does that mean? Still down 5%. This month, President Donald Trump's administration told NVIDIA that sales of the H20 would require an export license. Huawei's 910C, a graphics processing unit, represents an architectural evolution rather than a technological breakthrough, according to one of the two people in a third source familiar with its design. Yeah, because it's pretty. I'm pretty sure it's right here. It achieves performance comparable to NVIDIA's H100 chip by combining two 910B, so the new one is 910C, processors into a single package through advanced integration techniques. That means it has double the computing power and memory capacity of the 910B, and it also has incremental improvements, including enhanced support for diverse AI workloads they added. And one thing that you actually don't, China doesn't really need to worry about is their power, because China could just print, like, they have so much power that they could use, and also they could just build shit way quicker to get the power they need. So I think, like, they're, what's the dam, that big dam called? Three Gorges Dam. We looked at this a lot on stream, but it's huge, but it produces so much power that, like, it's just like they don't really need to care about it as much as America. They have 32 700 megawatt turbines. So they have 22 gigawatts just from this. Oh, here we go. They produce 101 terawatts a year. Like, we hardly have, like, gigawatt level, like, gigawatt size, like, projects. Like, we don't have that many, like, tens of gigawatt size projects besides, like, a dam. Is the Hoover Dam even in operation? For example, yeah, the Hoover Dam produces 3 terawatts. The other dam is producing like 50 times, like 30 times as much. at 100 terawatts, just for comparison, I guess. Let me close some of these tabs. I have way too many open. All sources were not authorized to speak to media and declined to be identified. Huawei declined to comment on what it called speculation about shipment plans for the 910C and its capabilities. Seeking to limit China's technology development, particularly advances for its military, Washington has cut China off from NVIDIA's most advanced AI products, including its flagship B200 chip, which is the Blackwell series. That's like their latest, most powerful chip. The H100 chip, for example, was banned from sale in China in 2022 by US authorities before it was even launched. This allowed Huawei and Chinese GPU startups such as More Threads and Iluvatar Core X to go after what has primarily been a market dominated by NVIDIA. So these are just other... Also, this More Threads is like... the name is interesting. Fabless Semiconductor Company. Yeah, they're just design. Former global vice president of NVIDIA and general manager of NVIDIA China. Yikes. The company claims to be the first Chinese company to introduce a domestic fully featured GPU solution. On October 22, the U.S. Department of Commerce added that More Threads to be added to the Bureau of Industry and Securities Entity List. I mean, like... this is like... Yeah, I was like, this is like a... comparing it to like a gaming GPU, not necessarily like a AI GPU. For desktop PCs and workstations. S2000 for servers based on first generation Musa, More Threads unified system architecture. But even like 32 gigs is like not that much for like a server when you compare it to like, I guess, NVIDIA. Interesting. U.S. Commerce Department latest export curves on H20. NVIDIA's H20 will mean that Huawei's Ascend 910C GPU will now become the hardware of choice for Chinese AI model developers and for deploying inference capacity, said Paul Triolo, a partner at consulting firm at Albright Stonebridge Group. Triolo. Is that who we read about in the last article? Yeah. DJA Group? Wait, are these the same people, but they have like different jobs? ASG? DGA? Wait, when was this article written? It was literally written today. This is written today too. Okay, I guess Paul's doing double duty. Late last year, Huawei distributed samples of the 910C to several technology firms and started accepting orders. Reuters was not able to ascertain which companies would be primarily producing the 910C. I mean, it has to be SMIC, right? Chinese SMIC is manufacturing some main components of the GPU using its N+2 7nm process technology, although its chips' yield rates are low, a source has previously said. Interesting. So they probably just cost a lot more to make then. But I think that's, like I said earlier, like as they develop more, like that will become better. So at least some Huawei's 910C GPUs use semiconductors that were made by TSMC for China's China-based SoftGo, according to one of those sources, and a fourth person. So SoftGo was one of the people, interesting, who was like buying chips from TSMC, then potentially handing them off to Huawei. Like, I wonder how that deal worked out. If they were like ordered to do that by like the government, or if like Huawei like brokered some sort of deal. Because like that's a lot of risk by SoftGo. And now they're on the fucking like shit list of the government, US government. The Commerce Department has been investigating work done by the Taiwanese contract chip manufacturing giant for Softco after one of TSMC made chips was found in a 910B processor. TSMC made nearly 3 million chips in recent years that match the design ordered by Softco, according to Lennart Heim, a researcher at RAND's Technology and Research Policy Center in Arlington, Virginia, who's tracking Chinese developments in AI. Yeah, exactly. So it's like, okay, well, like, we have 3 million chips, so, like, yeah, one of them might have made it to something that it shouldn't have. But, no, I mean, you could see how many you sent to, like, Softco and stuff, so I'm sure it's, like, less, but Huawei reiterated that it has not used TSMC-made Softco chips. Softco did not immediately respond for a request to comment. TSMC said it complies with regulatory environment requirements and has not supplied Huawei since mid-September 2020. Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I guess we'll see what will come of this. I think that TSMC, assuming best faith, is being like a bit over prosecuted right now. Or they're being persecuted, or whatever you want to say. I think like we're just looking for an answer. And realistically, I feel like they're kind of like, it's being framed as like an attack on TSMC, but I feel like it's probably much more like a collaboration. Like that's at least how it should be. It's like, hey, like, can you just like give us some data to maybe like help us understand the context more instead of being like just punishing TSMC? Because like I guess as from the TSMC's perspective too, it's like, okay, what now we have to like build out like this, like do way more due diligence and like checks about what chips are like, you know, it seems like it's a lot of liability and work for them when it's just like, bro, like you guys fucking deal with that. Like we make the chips, all right? All right, just a quick one now on the 920 AI chip, because before we were covering the 910C, 910B, but they also working on a 920, which is like, you know, definitely a step up. Huawei introduces the Ascend 920 AI chip to fill the void left by NVIDIA's H20. The Ascend 920 supposedly offers a performance comparable to NVIDIA's H20. On April 9th, Donald Trump extended the ban on AI chips, chip exports to China to include the NVIDIA H20. Just one day after this, Huawei announced that Ascend 920, its next generation AI chip, at a partner conference. And they even named it the 920. DigiTimes Asia reports that the Ascend 920 is expected to hit mass production in the later half of 2025, and experts say that it'll be able to replace the H20 chips that Chinese can no longer access. So, from NVIDIA's perspective, that is the timeline from which they need to beat. If they could figure out this licensing shit before then they could flood the market with H20 chips and soften the blow of like 920 potentially. But I could also see the like CCP, like Xi Jinping, like Communist Central, whatever you want to call it, like giving orders to like not buy the chips if they could even do that. But like, I don't really like. I feel like the government could just kind of do whatever they want in China. So yeah. Okay. NVIDIA's H20 chip is still a popular option for the Chinese companies despite being less potent than its latest AI offerings. The company has made billions of dollars selling this defamed AI chip to the region, with its sales reportedly growing 50% quarter over quarter. Fortunately, the party is over for NVIDIA, the company expected to take a $5.5 billion loss. Or a write-off due to lost sales. This is a massive opportunity for Huawei, which has been trying hard for years to match NVIDIA's capabilities. Its current AI chip, the Ascend 910C, seemingly delivers about 60% of the competing NVIDIA H100 inference performance. On the other hand, wait. Its current AI chip, Ascend 910C, seemingly delivers about 60% of the competing NVIDIA's H100 inference performance. Is that more? That has to be more than the H20. The next generation Ascend 920 will use a 6 nanometer process node. I think the others previously we wrote it was 7. Is expected to exceed 900 teraflops per card, boasting a 4 terabyte a second memory bandwidth using HBM3 modules. High bandwidth memory, I think. Furthermore, its 920C variant, which is built for transformer and mixture of expert models, i.e. DeepSeek using mixture of experts, will also reportedly improve efficiency by about 30 to 40% compared to its predecessor. I want to compare it. I want 920. Let's see if we could have Perplexity do some research in the background. I want to compare the 920 to the H100 and also the B200. How do you spell Huawei? Yeah, H-U. Huawei's new 920 AI chip compared to NVIDIA's H20, H100, and B200. And yeah, let's have that go. Background. Huawei's Ascend 920 reveal caught a few industry insiders by surprise, especially as it was made almost immediately after the White House announced the ban on NVIDIA's H20 and AMD's MI308. Moreover, Trump reportedly paused the planned H20 export ban after Wong spent $1 million to have dinner with the president at his Mar-a-Lago residence. Was that public? Like, I haven't heard that. Like, Jensen, I know Jensen Huang, being NVIDIA CEO, went to Mar-a-Lago, had dinner with Trump, but I didn't realize he, like, paid $1 million, like, or donated, I'm sure. But this planned expansion of export controls has reportedly been in the works for several months now, so it's likely that the Chinese chipmaker has been anticipating its arrival. Yeah, and I think, like, it was just, they might have announced it on purpose, like, the day after, or it could just be chance, but, like, they definitely have been working on it for a while. Like, it's not like it was just, like, they just, like, created it a day after, or whatever. It's likely the Chinese chipmaker has been anticipating its arrival. Because of this, Huawei has likely been working on the Ascend 920 in the background, and it was just waiting for the chip restrictions to drop before making its announcement. Yeah, or that. That's probably more likely. Aside from the Ascend 920, Huawei also revealed its AI Cloud Matrix 384 solution at the same partner conference. This rack-scale solution delivers more performance than NVIDIA GB200, more performance at the cost of higher power consumption, but that doesn't even matter. Like, I covered that earlier already, because power doesn't matter for China, because they have a lot of extra power. Like, they could just, regardless, they could just build power if they need it. So it's like, despite that, it'll probably attract attention from Chinese companies, especially as neighboring countries like Singapore and Malaysia are clamping down on smuggling rings trying to bring sanctioned chips into China. Yeah, and that was my theory for how TSMC chips are getting to China. Is like, yeah, they're literally just going through these other countries that have a connection to China or whatever. And that's that. Interesting. Okay, let's look at this real quick. So these are Huawei's new chips. Okay. I think the B200s are it's harder to compare because it's like the entire rack is like one GPU. So I think that's kind of like versus B200. I should have said the H200, but I guess the H100 is really what they're comparing to. But like, yeah, see, I feel like the VRAM is like, or this memory capacity is a big delimiter. We were looking at, I don't who was that? Yeah, the other chip company. They're making that only had like 8 gigs of RAM or some shit, which is like nothing for AI workloads. Yeah, I mean, it's still like behind, I guess. But yeah, it's comparable. So the memory bandwidth, I guess when we're comparing it to the latest, like B200, it's behind, but it is comparable to H100s, and I think there's still more H100s out right now, as the B200s are still being deployed and like built out and shit and like made. But they do a lot more. They do have a lot more power, so, or a lot more like computing power, so it might like even out, I guess. Yeah, 192 gigabytes compared to like their, actually doesn't specify. Like this is a big jump. And the memory bandwidth, because that the inner, like computer to computer, server to server, GPU to GPU, whatever, like the inner communication between for data has like been a bottleneck. They match or slightly exceed the H20 in raw AI compute. Oh, I see. This is only the floating point, like 4 and 8. This matters for AI, but I don't exactly know like what it means. I think it's like the longer, like the larger, it could handle like a lot larger numbers or something. So you could, it's like, yeah, I don't know. Actually, I shouldn't even talk about it because I don't fully know. Okay, that's all we got today. That was like the entire stream so far. How long have I been live? Hour and a half of just a Huawei and kind of catching up on the export control chip restrictions. Yeah, I think this is like these stories though are just a little bit, they're pretty important right now because it's gonna shape a lot of what we're gonna do going into the future for AI, and like our competition with China. All right, let's look at this here. Stable coins. We've been covering stable coins, and they've kind of been taking off a little bit, especially considering Trump administration's stance on crypto. A lot of crypto companies, firms, spent a lot of money to get pro crypto politicians elected. That worked. Trump is like pro crypto, although like he is arguably the worst kind of pro crypto because he's just doing pump and dumps along with Melania, his wife. But I guess beside the point, stable coins have been popular, and I kind of do like the idea of stable coins. We did a deep dive on stream a few weeks ago. But they are a good alternative. They just are a good way to have programmable money. That's kind of like, if nothing else, it's just that like having smart contracts and being able to move money easy and also having it tied, like pegged to like something that's stable, like treasury bonds or the US dollar, although the US dollar is arguably not like super stable right now, but in the sense that it's kind of just the price is going down. But yeah, you get the point, I guess. So, but the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, has gone through a lot of turbulence lately, and they are the ones who normally regulate banks. They were the stood up for consumers, and they had your back when banks fucked you over. And like, there's plenty of lawsuits in the past that has like proved that is definitely a problem and that we need a place something like the CFPB. But with the changing, with all the kind of chaos going on in the federal government, in the cuts, Trump, everyone like banks hate CFPB. Let me rephrase that. Banks hated CFPB until Trump said that they're going to cut the CFPB, and then that allows the likes of PayPal, Venmo, all these kind of people owns Venmo, like Cash App, all these kind of neo banks, I think they're called, or like pay or like online type of banks. They can now essentially compete in the market with normal banks because the CFPB were the ones like holding that back and not allowing these like more tech company type banks to be treated like normal banks. That would, if the CFPB were to go away, that would go away. And so banks did a little flip flop where they're like, oh shit, CFPB, please come back, because they didn't want to compete with fucking PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, all these other types of apps that could then be used like banks. Now, though, stablecoins have entered the chat, and they, with the CFPB being cut, they could also now kind of come into the that neobank, internet bank, online bank, Venmo-like, PayPal-like market and steal some shares from the banks or the existing like PayPal and stuff. Although PayPal, like, I think you could buy crypto and shit on PayPal, so. But yeah, and the stable coins are the kind of the leading technology, I guess, or stablecoin companies, firms are the ones kind of coming into this because they're essentially banks. Like the way they make money is the same way banks make money. That you buy Circle, who's the big in the stablecoins, you buy their USDC or DS. You buy their stablecoin, and then they go use that money to buy something like treasury bonds. They get an interest on that. You might get an interest for holding your stablecoin. So, like, let's say you get like 2%. They buy treasury bonds at 4%. They make money on the spread at 2% interest. So it's like very low margins, but it's high volume. So it's like we're talking, billions of dollars. Which is essentially, that's exactly what banks do. It's like that you put your money in your bank, and the bank takes that money and invests it to make more money, and they make money on the difference. When you want to take out money, they might charge you interest rates. They might give you interest on your savings accounts, but like behind the scenes, they're just going and buying treasury bonds or treasury bills, whatever, and making money on the spread. Stablecoins do the same thing. So now it's like, bro, they're already doing exactly what banks are. So one, we might as well regulate them like banks, I think, for one. Which there's regulation in the pipeline for stablecoins, which we covered pretty in depth on stream here in the past. I don't know them off the top of my head, so I can't give a context right now, but essentially they're treating them very similar to normal banks, which that's what they are essentially. So I don't fully disagree. I think the one thing I remember is like, it's only US registered stablecoin. So they're kind of incentivizing people to kind of like Tether, for example, I think is in the fucking like British Virgin Islands or some shit. So it's like Tether, even though they're a large stablecoin, wouldn't actually be required to follow the American laws, even though it's like they're pegged to the US dollar. So I think it should be more based off like, okay, if you're pegging to the US dollar, if you're getting pegged by the US dollar, if you're pegging your stablecoin to the US dollar, then you should be, following, or you should be regulated, I guess, by the US government. Anyways, let's look at banks now, or stablecoins looking to be treated like banks. Crypto knocks on the door of banking world that it shut out. Circle, BitGo, and other crypto firms plan to apply for bank charters or licenses. Crypto is pushing deeper into the banking system. And it's also important to note, too, that stablecoins have kind of been the good overlap of more traditional finance. Things like Fidelity, like Vanguard. I mean, I just know Fidelity. Traditional finance getting into more crypto type stuff because stablecoin is familiar. I imagine it's familiar to like these more traditional finance bros types because it's treated very similar to how a bank is, so they could like wrap their head around it a lot easier. So Fidelity is like looking to get into the stablecoin market, specifically on the Solana blockchain. I don't know what it's called. But yeah, okay. A regulatory crackdown on crypto in the wake of the meltdown of FTX and two crypto-friendly banks prompted some in traditional finance to break up with the industry 2 years ago. Now President Trump's pledge to make America a Bitcoin superpower has set the stage for crypto to become more intertwined with the banking system. A host of crypto firms, including Circle, who plans to IPO. I doubt they're IPOing like now with like the current market conditions, but yeah. And BitGo plan to apply for bank charters or licenses, according to people familiar with the matter. Crypto exchange Coinbase Global and stablecoin company Paxos are considering similar moves, other people said. Coinbase, yeah, makes sense. Circle makes sense. Is BitGo the one who had like the big hack recently, or is that like Byte? No, this is not them. I've not heard of BitGo. I am like interested in stablecoins, and so I would love to find a platform that like is very trustworthy. To kind of like play around with stable coins and like lending and shit like that. Like I'd love to just like throw $1,000 and then do it. I'm gonna regret like talking about crypto on stream. On fucking X or Twitter, I'm already tagged like every fucking day by like NFT crypto bots like trying to do their bullshit. So it's like whatever. Custody wallets. Wallets as a service. Staking services. Stablecoins. Stablecoins as a service. Launch your stablecoin. Bro, should we get a Brady's Brain stablecoin? Like, genuinely, like, how I'm saying this is like half a joke, but like how hard could it be? Let's for real. Like, I don't know, you fucking you have it, you just buy treasury bonds, you give it like 2% interest. Treasury bonds, T-bills are like 4.2% right now. You make 2% interest, like, bro, free money. That's funny. World Liberty Financial. This is fucking Trump's company. USD1 provides what algorithmic and anonymous crypto projects cannot access the powerful DeFi. Yeah, DeFi. That's like the word I should be using is DeFi, decentralized finance. That's generally more so what I'm talking about when I say like stablecoins and shit. I'm not like I'm not involved in the crypto community anymore, really, I guess, as much as I was in the past. I've been covering the news and I'm interested in the technology and like, but I don't really participate. That sovereign investors and major institutions constantly integrate their strategies to seamless, secure cross-border transactions. I feel like, yeah, it's like the know your customer, like all that kind of bullshit. Like that's the hard part of like the crypto. I feel like. Interesting. That would be cool to launch a stablecoin, but like, I kind of feel like all stablecoins are the same. Just depends on the network that they're on. Okay. That comes as the Trump administration moves to incorporate crypto into mainstream finance, and Congress advances a pair of bills that would establish a regulatory framework for stablecoins, which would let people easily trade in and out of more volatile cryptocurrencies. The legislation would require stablecoin issuers to have charters or licenses from regulators. Okay. Yeah, because they're being treated more like banks, which makes sense to me. Some crypto firms are interested in national trust or industrial bank charters that would enable them to operate more like traditional lenders, such as taking deposits and making loans. But like they already do this, I guess. Like you could loan out your crypto, that's essentially staking. Others are after relatively narrow licenses that would allow them to issue a stable coin. World Liberty Financial, the Trump family's crypto project, unveiled plans to launch a stablecoin called USD1 last month. I swear if they do anything with the government with the stablecoin, like it said the stablecoin reserves would be safeguarded by crypto custodian BitGo, which is getting close to submitting the bank charter application. People familiar with the matter said. You know what would be a legit like strategy or like business strategy? I feel like is someone offering like imagine BitGo, who like it seems like they could you know, they're like they have their stablecoin as a service. Like they could do everything, and then the other company, the like company wanting the stablecoin as a service, could just essentially do marketing, and then the BitGo just takes a cut of the margins. So it's like, let's say like the margins are like 2%, they take like a 0.05% margin on like all the profits that you do or some shit. That's probably too little, but you know what I mean. I actually feel like that makes it like too easy to make a stable coin though, and like the market would just be flooded. I don't know. Actually, I don't know if that'd be a good thing. Any crypto firm that obtains a bank charter would become subject to stricter regulatory oversight. That's fair though. Like I don't know. That seems like pretty fair. Like, okay, we're giving you like more permission to do more things and to maybe, you know, be a little riskier, but in return it's like we need some more data, we need some more information. You have to, you know, the kind of it's a you know, two-way street. So Anchorage Digital, so far the only crypto firm in the country with a federal bank charter, has said it spent tens of millions of dollars to comply with the regulations. This seems like a personal problem, if I'm being real. Like, okay, so like, to me, this seems like, okay, actually, that's not necessarily. I was like, it seems like the regulations are working, but that doesn't necessarily. That's not a good analysis. They were far from what the government was looking for. It just seems like, you know, now it's like, bro, you have to spend tens of millions of dollars to comply. Like, shit, like you were. What were we even doing? In 2022, a bank regulator issued a consent order against Anchorage, pointing to anti-money laundering deficiencies. This is like every crypto thing, because they probably just didn't do the know your customer shit. It has not been easy, said Nathan McCauley, chief executive officer of Anchorage, which obtained its charter in 2021. But he said the whole gamut of regulatory and compliance obligations that banks have can be intertwined with the crypto industry. The whole gamut of regulatory and compliance obligations that banks have can be intertwined with the crypto industry. Is he saying that like it is like a good or bad? Like he's just kind of stating it. San Francisco-based company this year became a custodian for BlackRock's iShares Bitcoin Trust. San Francisco. Oh, so is that a BitGo or whatever we're just talking about? Alongside Coinbase. Anchorage. Anchorage also joined with Cantor Fitzgerald along with crypto custodian Copper for the firm's $2 billion Bitcoin-backed lending program. Tether is a major client of Cantor, which was previously headed by Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. So we did know that Howard Lutnick had a connection to Tether, although I didn't realize that it was from this like Cantor company. American Financial Service Company. I've never heard of this Cantor. Fixed income, equity capital markets, prime asset management advisory, investment banking products, services, and technology. Yeah, I've never heard of Cantor. They don't really publish stuff much. I'll add this to the market research bookmark. Okay, stablecoins are pegged to the dollar or other government-issued currencies and store reserves in cash or cash-like assets such as treasuries to keep a 1-to-1 ratio in value in place. Yeah, okay. Tether is the largest stablecoin with a $145 billion market cap, and Circle's USD coin is the second largest with roughly $61 billion of tokens in circulation. Just a few years ago, major banks cut ties with the crypto firms after a regulatory crackdown on the industry following FTC's collapse. Yeah, FTC kind of fucked everyone because they broke a lot of trust, which is like cryptocurrency is the trust is the biggest hurdle. Trust is the biggest hurdle I see as for like holding back like mass adoption, I guess. After the downfall of Silvergate Capital and Signature Bank, many founders in the industry struggled to find new banks that would take their deposits or lend to them. After Trump returned to the White House, regulators rolled back rules requiring banks to get approval to engage in crypto activity. Furthering guidance for how banks can engage with crypto is expected later this year, a person familiar with the matter said. Meanwhile, some banks are looking to play catch-up and forge ties with the industry. In February, Bank of America Chief Executive Brian Moynihan, like Bobby Moynihan from Saturday Night Live, said his bank would issue its own stablecoin if a legal framework for doing so is established. And this is the general consensus for like mass adoption, is like a lot of them want regulation, frameworks, standardization to minimize risk. They just want to be more risk averse, less risk averse. They want to minimize risk, and usually this is like the best way to do so because there's a standardization, there's like a established process that like is predictable and you could like understand it. And also it's more so for investment too. It's going to make sure that their investment will like be kind of safe. And that's a big reason why the tariffs have thrown a lot into chaos, there's a lot of uncertainty, and so because of that, businesses don't want to invest money in the future when they don't know if their investment will be good or bad, yada yada. It's similar for like emerging technologies. It's like they don't want to invest in this technology if it's going to go away, or like shit's going to like change a lot in the next like, you know, few years, or when they start implementing it. So US Bancorp said this month it would relaunch its crypto custody service through a partnership with NYDIG, a Bitcoin trading and banking firm. NYDIG. Separately, a consortium of banks, which include Deutsche Bank and Standard Chartered, has started to examine how to expand crypto operations to the U.S. According to people who are familiar with the matter, spokesperson for Deutsche Bank declined to comment. Standard Chartered didn't respond for request comment. Some banks remain cautious. KeyCorp Chief Executive Chris Gorman said crypto could increasingly become competition for the industry, in that his bank sees potential opportunity in the space but wants to first see how it develops. I think though, yeah, the competition is hard, but people still don't trust crypto. Like, so I think that's kind of going to be the hard part. And I think that's kind of holding me back. It's like, I don't know, like if I go to these more like, I guess it's just like risk, like how much risk are you willing to tolerate in chase of gains? I guess that's like investment 101, I guess, but it's more so, I guess it's risk in the platform. That's more so like the problem. Like I trust, you know, like Fidelity or like Vanguard, but like I don't necessarily trust fucking like BitGo or like whoever. You know, like I don't know. It's like it's feel like that's kind of there, bro. Bro, these fucking people coming in with no headphones. They come to a video chatting they come to a live streaming platform, and they say that their headphones don't work, and they want you to chat with them. I know it's a bot, but like I don't understand what they're trying to accomplish. Like genuinely. Like who would say yes to this, I guess, is my question. And they immediately like leave. It's like it's like it used to be the artist. Someone would come in and they'd be like, oh, like how they like follow and like chat, and they'd be like, oh, like do you play games? Like, oh, I like this game. Oh, I do art. Like, can I make art for you or something? It's like some dude came to my chat and did it 3 different times. He unfollowed 3 different times and then said the same thing. I'm like, bro, like, hello, do you not remember? And I know that they're not a bot. I was like, are you a bot? Like, I don't give. He's like, no, I'm not a bot, dude. It's like, you're fucking acting like one. So like maybe, Jesus. Okay, he pointed to regulatory challenges such as anti-money laundering safeguards with crypto. Banks can see where it goes first, he said, but beyond that, it's hard to trace. Yeah. Yeah, the crypto stuff is going to continue to evolve. I don't think this is gonna be the end of it. Like, I think it's gonna, like, next 4 years for crypto is kind of gonna be wild. I don't, like, good or bad. I'm not saying like it good or bad, but like, I think it's just gonna be, there's gonna be a lot of news around it. Just, for the fact of all these, we're just getting a shift with like pro crypto, politicians coming in, and we're getting actually like rules around it. So. Okay, let's cover the last big story we have. It's kind of a fun one, but because it's China related again. There's been I've been covering a lot of China news. I think though, because I mainly cover emerging technologies, and can't deny that China does have a lot of emerging technologies being developed, and they're further along than the US in some aspects. And I think a lot of it is that it's more normalized, I feel like, the technology than in America. Like, I think there's still too many people who are, like, afraid of technology. Like, in America. Whereas, I feel like it's more... actually, okay, like, we covered... I'm just remembering. We covered in the Stanford's State of AI 2025, China was so much more optimistic on AI than America, and really just the rest of the world. And I think that is an indicator of their kind of opinion on things like this. So humans outrun robots at Beijing's half marathon. The humanoid robots were no match for human rivals as they made their half marathon debut in the Chinese capital. I think it's funny how, like, one, this is like a fucking, like, kid, you know, like, tiny ass robot, but he's wearing, like, little kid shoes to run, like running shoes. Like, that's so funny. We'll watch videos of it after this. Actually, Wall Street Journal did a huge piece, but I actually don't think we're gonna read it. I like the Wall Street Journal's reporting, and they usually have, like, the best, like, background on it, but I've been reading a lot of Wall Street Journal. I want to mix it up. Okay, humans took the lead over robots and kept it easily as they raced towards to victory at Beijing's Yizhuang half marathon. I wonder where this was. Thousands of runners joined 2021 humanoid robot rivals in a world first 21 kilometer 13 miles. Bro, like, literally, this is insane. Like, this bot, like, okay, just get out of here. Like, literally generic response, nothing related to what I was talking about. Like, okay. Thousands of runners joined 21 humanoid robot rivals in a world first 21 kilometer, 13 mile, 352 yards. How many feet is that? I need in feet. Challenge the Chinese capital on Saturday. But not every bot was up to the task. Okay, so the title of my YouTube live stream was, why would China do this? So I think let's lead with that question as we're reading this. I mean, I have my thoughts, but I just kind of wanted to pose a question for the curious minded out there. But not every bot was up to the task. One collapsed moments after the starting gun and lay motionless for minutes before regaining its feet. Another slammed into a barrier after only a few strides, taking its handlers down with it. Some machines made it to the finish line, but still trailed the humans badly. Tiangong Ultra, developed by Beijing's Innovation Center of Humanoid Robots, clocked a time of 2 hours and 40 minutes. Bro, this is, like, good. Like, to be fair, like, they're not giving these robots benefit of the doubt, okay? Let's be real. Like, they treated humans badly. Like, 2 hours and 41 minutes is still better than most humans. Like, okay, for one, I can't fucking run a 13-mile half marathon in 2 hours and 42 minutes. I'll tell you that. In 2 hours and 40 minutes. The men's winner finished more than an hour earlier. I guess it is a half marathon, and I was thinking of a marathon, to be honest. Because, like, I think the record's, like, around 2 hours for a marathon. Generally, these are interesting demonstrations, said Alan Fern, a robotics professor at Oregon University, but they don't demonstrate much regarding the utility or useful work of any type of basic intelligence. Wait, okay, what does intelligence have to do with anything with these robots? They're literally being controlled by the humans. They're not autonomous. What the fuck? Yeah, bro. Most robots are programmed to do a step-by-step thing. It's not like they're just let into the world and be like, all right, go figure it out. Like, so I mean, I don't know. The robots are running very well, very stable. I feel like I'm witnessing the evolution of robots and AI. said Sishu, a local AI engineer watching the sidelines. Yeah, this is just an interesting comment. Like, it's very like like propaganda pilled, I guess. Like, you know, like though technically in the race the robots weren't exactly autonomous athletes. Yeah, each one came with a team of engineers, and some needed physical support to stay upright. Chinese firms like Droid VP and Noatex Robotics fielded bots of all shapes and sizes, with a few even donning boxing gloves and headbands. Officials liken the event more to motorsports than a traditional race. That's funny. Ting Jian, CEO at Tiangong's lab, said they plan to shift focus to real-world tasks. A focus going forward will be industrial applications so they can truly enter factories, business scenarios, and finally, households. Yeah. And that's really what this is about. I mean, it's just, one, it's to challenges, like, even though they aren't relevant to the real world, like, challenges still do, like, bring insight and, like, you know, you learn different things from it, especially doing things that you wouldn't, like, the robot wouldn't otherwise do. Like, I still, like, they probably learned something from this, you know? But I also think it's definitely like marketing to the rest of the world, in the sense that, like, hey, China's capable of this robotic shit. Like, we're literally hosting like half marathons where they, you know, the participants are robots, you know? I think those two are like the biggest things of it. Like, it's like marketing, definitely the rest of the world, but even in, like, domestically, I imagine, like, to, like, work in it, and also just to for businesses, you know, there's various programs, but it's essentially marketing. And like DARPA, Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, which is like the military's like super like doing crazy shit, like emerging technologies. They host like competitions like this all the time. They do like a self-driving car one they've done for years. They've just done random competitions, but they do competitions a lot. And I think though also like a challenge imposes certain restrictions which you need creativity to get around, and I think that is also a good way to just try new things and discover new ways of doing things. So I think just challenges in general are just good for like engineering and creativity. So I think all three of those reasons are like what I think. Marketing, challenges to create new and different capabilities. I can't remember what the third one was. But mainly just those two, I guess. Okay, let's look at TechCrunch. Robots run half marathon slowly. It looks like humanoid robots have a long way to go before catching up with human runners. Beijing's E-Town Tech Hub hosted what it described as the world's first humanoid half marathon on Saturday, with 21 humanoid robots competing alongside thousands of humans. Bloomberg reports that the winning robot, Tiangong Ultra, was built by the government-backed research institute X Humanoid and finished the race in 2 hours and 41 minutes. OneX.tech. That's kind of a cool name. Oh, this is not who I was thinking of. I've been meaning to cover these guys because there's been several stories about them, and they're definitely, like, in terms of for the home, they are in the lead, I guess, quote unquote. Bookmark them. This would not be impressive time for a human. The race's winning male runner finished 1 hour and 2 minutes in 1 hour and 2 minutes, and the normal race, it's normal for casual runners to complete a half marathon in under 2 hours. Brag alert. Wait, is this the author, Anthony Ha? Yeah, this is him. That's funny. I like that. Tiangong Ultra needed human assistance to win, specifically a human who ran ahead with a signaling device on his back, enabling the robot to imitate his movements. What the fuck? Most other robots were remotely controlled with human operators running beside them. I don't know why it just looks so funny. And like all the people over here, like so many people cheering for him. Like he's just going, bro. They're like, stop, bro. He's like kept going. Jesus. Like interviewing him. I don't know why I just think it's so fun, just like robot just like standing here just like but it just like everyone's like cheering on like he's a fucking champion, like just the fucking robot. Like I don't know why it's funny. Bro, and the fucking robot, like I love this. I do like the look of him. It's very it's almost Star Wars-y. Like I'm getting like what are the Star Wars Death Star operator? Yeah, these guys. Yeah, this is the vibe I'm getting from that robot. Like, look at. Anyways, god damn it. Yeah, little bro. But like, it's weird that they have these like tethers on here. I was like, it's either they're holding them back or like just in case it's like they like go wild. It's like the kids with like the wearing like the leashes, you know. Bro, and then this is fucking grandma. It's a fucking grandma robot over here. What are they wearing boxing gloves for? Well, this one's cruising. Bro, this one runs weird. This is a little bro here. Another little bro one. But he's cruising, actually. He's like at a slow jogging pace. Oh, and then this is shit. This is like the one of the more popular like viral like ones I've seen online. I can't remember. It's like Unitree. Yeah. Right? Unitree robots. Yeah. Yep, right here. But like, bro, it looks like he's fucking pushing it. He's like, whoa. This dude's controlling it. Well, like, to be fair, like, their robots like definitely seemed overhyped. They had it at CES and it was like not as cool, like as the videos. Bro, this is like Like, what are these tiny ass robots gonna do? Like, these guys are funny. This looks like Unitree again. Like hands just like out like this. Bro, they're it's like whoa. This one's head looks interesting. This one actually just looks interesting in general, actually. This was like a big one actually. Looks thick, beefy boy, those metal thighs. Oh god, this one's taking forever. Oh bro, then we got it's like all the industrial robots, and we have like the fucking like sex robot like competing. Like, bro, what is this thing? They're not finishing, bro. Look how small the steps are. Like, like, same with this, bro. Like, what the fuck? Like, this is a toy one. Like, come on. This looks like a GameCube, actually. Bro, he's waving. I kind of like these little ones, except, like, they'd be worthless in the home. Like, it'd literally be like a kid, like, like, Mom, can you help me? Can you reach that for me? Like, bro, I can't even do dishes because I can't even reach the sink. Like, what do I have to get a stepping stool for a fucking robot? Bro, what the what is this guy wearing? They're wearing this because they don't want to reveal what's under it. Let's be real. I love that the ones that move their arms. I think it's just like human, so it just like looks more real, but like. Okay, actually, let's just keep watching. I have a longer video. Here it is.
Adopted this, rather shorter design to.
This is CGTN is funded wholly or in part by Chinese government. So, just heads up, but we're just fucking watching video.
For more stability, while compromising.
Bro, I'm gonna have a fucking like warning on my live stream on YouTube. It's one of 3 branches of state-run China Media Group, CCTV, China Central Television, which I've actually been there. Headquartered in Beijing, CGTN broadcast. It's under control of Central Propaganda Department. So yeah. Anyways, we're just watching the fucking. We're just muting. Okay, let's just. I want to see robot coverage only. Here we go. These are the boxing glove ones. Like people like running alongside them. Like, bro, I'm racing the robot. I'm gonna beat the robot. Like, also, like, the engineers wearing, like, fucking, like, pants. Like, they're about to, like, essentially run 13 miles, walk. And they're, like, wearing, like, pants. Interesting. Now we got Little Bros. Bro, Little Bros hauling, though. Let's be real. Okay, see, like, they just, like, got a fucking cart. They're like, alright, we're good. Like, but this dude's cruising. He's actually cruising compared to, these ones. I imagine, though, the bigger ones with longer legs could move, like, faster. Oh, here we go. This is the one that won, I think.
Early in the morning, but now the sun has come out.
It's interesting also that this is in English, if I'm being honest. Like, that is kind of weird. Which, again, makes me go back to my question of, like, why is, like, it's marketing. Literally, I think this is, like, the biggest reason now, like, especially this is in English, like, is this entire channels in English? This is an interesting. This isn't. They just upload such interesting videos. Like it's so random. Oh, look here. This is like lead up to it. It's like visiting the marathon contender. And then we got grandma over here. No, this one is like the true marathon runner, like hella lanky, like skinny, like that's actually like what a runner represent, like runners are. All right, little bro's cruising.
Which there would be like a series of different premiers according to different standards.
All right, this dude's in the lead. It's like, you know that they came to one, bro. Like this dude's good because he's dressed like he's fucking ready to run a marathon. I'll say they should be finishing here. Yeah, let's just keep watching.
And how they respond to that, it's like a gradual process from lab to reality, and later on to
Go. All right, home stretch. Bro, he's cruising. Homeboy's cruising. Wait. So this is the guy who he's replicating. Must be. They didn't really talk, like we haven't really seen that. It's not this guy. It has to be this guy. Look at what he's wearing. That's interesting. Yeah, bro, he's booking it. Whoa. Alright, you should be finishing in like any minute. Like, whoa, don't go over there. Yeah, like this team was in it to win. Like this dude's like, bro. It's like actually running at the pace of like a lot of people though. All right, here it is. Home stretch. Okay, let's fast forward a little bit more. Almost. Oh yeah, they got out of the car. Who the fuck is this guy? Like, bro, this is like literally from the episode of Veep. They need to like get to the VP who's like running in the marathon, and they're like all in suits and shit. Like, who's that guy in the background who's just like, oh well, get out of here. Like he's like, go. Like what? Like yeah. Like dude was cruising over the finish line. Yeah.
I'm gonna run as a cheering up for you.
From the watch here, we can see that Tingle finishes.
Cool. All right, let's just check in on like. It looks like we got Lil Bro here, still chugging along. I wonder how many finished total. Every other robot needed at least 3 hours to complete the race, and only 4 robots in total managed to finish, ahead of the 4-hour cutoff time. Some robots barely made it past the starting line, for example. Shinoi tripped a human supporter runner and then slammed into a face and shattered. At one point, Little Giant, the shortest competitor at 30 inches, little bro, paused as smoke emerged from its head. They definitely would not show that, if I'm being honest. They would. Oh, Wall Street Journal? Dang it. That's just what they linked. I want to see a video. God dang it. They would never show that, unfortunately, on the propaganda channels. That's the downside, is we only see the good. Looks like the comments have found it for us. Interesting. Okay. Okay, guys, come on. This isn't CGI. Did they do any more reporting on this, though? Unitree did not participate. Okay, remember I was like, oh, this looks like Unitree. Unitree did not participate in the Beijing Half Marathon. The G1 robots were brought by third parties with no direct involvement from Unitree. Interesting. Yeah, because remember I was like, oh, there's multiple. Look how there's multiple. Unitree did not participate in the Beijing Marathon, would attract such a high level of public attention like other robotic companies in Shanghai and Shenzhen. Unitree has never planned to participate in these events. The robots present at this scene were brought by third parties, and Unitree was not involved. Robot performance is heavily dependent on its hardware condition, software status, and okay. Interesting. New Persona robot. It felt like the whole thing was set up to let the local government-backed innovation center take the spotlight. Unitree didn't bring its latest control systems. Engine AI didn't participate. Interesting. This is Unitree here. Interesting. Whoops, I did not want to click on that. Alright, looks like nothing more on here. Anyways, I kind of had this fun story. Silicon Valley, it's fun, but maybe not. Silicon Valley crosswalk buttons apparently hacked to imitate Musk Zuckerberg voices, and I heard the same in Seattle, I think, too. Wait. But I did pre-read. They wasted an opportunity.
Hi, this is Mark Zuckerberg, but real ones call me the Zuck. You know, it's normal to feel uncomfortable or even violated as we forcefully insert AI into every facet of your conscious experience. And I just want to assure you, you don't need to worry, because there's absolutely nothing you can do to stop it. Anyway, see ya.
I was like, that's what you could pick anything and you talked about fucking AI? Come on, bro. Talk about privacy shit or I don't know, something
Cybertruck, I promise. Okay, look, you don't know the level of depravity I would stoop to just for a crumb of approval. I mean, let's be real. It's not like I had any moral convictions to begin with, right?
That one's good. That one is funny.
Wait. Hey, it's Zuck here. I just wanted to tell you how very proud I am of everything we've been building together. From undermining democracy, to cooking our grandparents' brains with AI slop, to making the world less safe for trans people. Nobody does it better than us, and I think that's pretty neat. Zuck out.
That was a good one. It's funny. I guess though the way people were able to do this is that these are just configured by an app, and so there's, you know, there just wasn't any good security, and so it's like it says City Palo Alto spokesperson Megan Horgan Taylor said on Saturday that the city employees determined that 12 downtown intersections were impacted and have disabled the voice announcement feature for the crosswalks until repairs can be made. The tampering may have happened on Friday. Maureen said other traffic signals in the city were checked and the impact is isolated. Okay, they're like talking about like this is fucking like an attack or some shit, you know. Redwood City deputy city manager said Monday that her city was aware of 4 locations where crosswalks signals were hacked. Unauthorized messages since have been disabled, and staff are evaluating ways to strengthen system protections. Yeah, it's unlawful, pose a safety risk. It is like, and I do see how it could pose a safety risk, but I think this is like a pretty like, I don't know, like it is like city infrastructure, but I think it's kind of harmless way to like protest, and I don't know, it's fucking Silicon Valley too, like what would like, I think it's like kind of harmless, but I like, it's not like everyone should have like free reign to just do shit like this, I guess. Are operated by the California Department of Transportation that city-controlled crosswalks were not hacked. Caltrans spokesperson Gene Crawford confirmed the crosswalks operator by state transport. They disabled the effect audio. Caltrans working with the supplier to determine the course of action that crosswalk fully operational as quick as possible. Yeah, it's like going to the supplier's like, bro, what the fuck? Like, get your security together. Shit. Alright. We might I was gonna watch this one about smart glasses, and they're kind of talking about how it's the next computer, and I do believe that we've covered smart glasses pretty like quite a bit on stream in the past like few months. When I started streaming, I covered them a lot. There hasn't really been much news about smart glasses, so I'm curious to see this, but I think we might save this until tomorrow. And this like Neo one. But I do have a video playing that. We'll bookmark that. I want to watch we have a few trailers, and I want to watch the 60 minutes. I'll be right back, 2 seconds, use the restroom, and then we'll watch these videos.
60 Minutes Overtime.
Shit, I've been muted. God damn it, bro. I hate when I do this. Essentially, I was just saying how 60 Minutes is a good bridge between the boomers and like legacy media, I guess. Like a lot of boomers watch 60 Minutes. Like my mom comes to me and is like, "Oh, I saw this thing on 60 Minutes," and it's like, whereas like I probably likely discovered the thing on like a few months ago on like YouTube or social media. But like, you know, a lot of boomers still just watch their news. I mean, they like read mine. And I think that there's also like a disconnect there too. So anyways, I think it's good that they're covering AI more. I think they have covered it previously on 60 Minutes, but it's more so that like boomers are getting more exposure into this. There's longer interviews, but I just want to get a little palate cleanser. Palate teaser.
This building across the square looks quite new. What is that?
That is the Google London office in Pancras Square.
This week on 60 Minutes, we reported on DeepMind, Google's art.
And like, I can't remember this guy. Lester Holt? No, that's not Lester Holt. Who's this guy? Anyways, his like voice is perfect for it because like, and he's like kind of a boomer himself, so let's be real. And so like the way he kind of like talks is just like perfect.
Artificial Intelligence Research Lab, where we explored what's coming next with co-founder and CEO Demis Hassabis, a leader in this new world.
Hello, Scott. It's nice to see you again.
DeepMind's AI assistant, Astra, can see, hear, and analyze the world around it. It can recognize famous paintings like this one.
That is Edward Hopper's Automat.
And guess what its subject might be feeling. What emotion is she exhibiting?
The subject in the painting appears pensive and contemplative.
But with a little push, it can do even more. Can you create a story around this picture?
It's a chilly evening.
And I guess it's like, I could see my grandma just be like, wow, like that's neat, like wow, you know, like
in the city. A Tuesday, perhaps. The woman, perhaps named Eleanor, sits alone in the diner, enjoying a warm cup of coffee.
Have you found yourself saying, I didn't see that coming?
It's happened many times, actually, since the beginning of DeepMind. And Astra, just being able to be that good at understanding the physical world was not something we were expecting it to be that good at that quickly.
While reporting this story, we learn more about the strides DeepMind has made with AI that can produce images, videos, and even three-dimensional worlds. 2 years ago,
and like the fact that like they have to like this thing, it's funny how they like say like 3-dimensional instead of like 3D. Like I don't know, I just feel like it's like
we were shown a technology that could create videos with simple text prompts.
Dang.
Like golden retriever with wings. Oh, look at that. Since then, it has taken a massive leap forward.
It's just a way clearer, more detailed image.
And the snowflakes sort of falling
and
on
the
him and collecting
snowflakes
as well.
falling.
Director of Product Management Tom Hume showed us this model called Veo 2. It recreated the fantastical scene of the golden retriever, but with astonishing photorealistic detail.
It even knows how wings flap, like how it would flap in the air. It's pretty realistic here.
Eventually, we've seen this in science fiction. It's sort of like the holodeck from Star Trek, where you can just imagine any environment, the system will generate it for you, and then you can sort of immerse yourself in that imagined environment.
Hassabis and DeepMind research scientist Jack Parker Holder wanted to show us Genie 2, a world model that uses images to create interactive 3D environments.
This is it's like, I just love the way he talks.
Photograph taken by someone in our team somewhere in California. And what we then do is ask Genie to convert this into an interactive world.
Oh, I just realized.
The model with this image, and Genie converts it into a game-like world that you can then interact in. Every further pixel is generated by a generative AI model.
And it's like, it's cool, but like, they're like, it's kind of gimmicky, you know, I feel like still. We covered World Labs AI, which is doing that. making the same product.
So the AI is making up this scene as it goes along.
Exactly, yes. Someone from our team is actually playing this. They're pressing the W key to move forwards. And then from that point
Looks
onwards,
like War
every
Thunder.
subsequent frame is generated by the AI.
Parker Holder told us these models could eventually train AI agents to accomplish tasks in these environments.
We've created this world with 3 different arches, where on the left we see some nice plants. In the middle, it's an opening which we don't quite know what's in there. And on the right, there's a staircase. And rather than a human playing, we take one of our most capable AI agents and we say, can you actually go up the staircase for us? And as it's climbing the stairs, the Genie world model is creating the world around it on the fly and sort of imagining what's up there.
Effectively, you've got one AI system playing in the mind of another AI system. So you've got one generating the world, and the other one is moving around and accomplishing goals in that world.
And the practical implication of that would be what?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Of course, there's lots of implications for entertainment and generating games
No,
and videos.
no, don't give me the entertainment. That's a fucking...
Actually,
that's obvious, okay? We want some more, like, what are you thinking?
the bigger goal is building a world model, a model that can understand our world. You could imagine future version creating almost an infinite variety of different simulated environments.
The simulation is still good, but, like, that exists already. Like, NVIDIA Omniverse, it exists. Like, I don't know. And, like, this is so... I don't really get the whole, like, world generation thing, like, besides for entertainment, at least right now. Because I guess, like, the non-AI version of that already exists. So, like, why then, like, what more could this, like, AI version... What more value could the AI-generated version provide? Especially considering that the AI version probably uses so much more power. It's less efficient, I guess.
Which the AIs can learn from and interact in, and then translate that to the real world.
So if you had a full-sized robot, for example, you wouldn't train him on how to navigate the world out in the street in front of the building.
Yeah, but, like, okay, like, see, NVIDIA literally has specifically a world model for that.
You would put him in this scenario so that he could figure out how to climb stairs.
That's right. It's much harder to collect data in the real world, much more expensive, much slower. For example, robotics data. But in simulator worlds, you can sort of collect almost an unlimited amount.
We wondered if Google could use the trove of geographic data that's at its fingertips to advance this technology.
Google has access to almost infinite data. You've got Google Maps, you've got Street View, you've got Google Earth. Could all of those data be collected together in order to train AI agents?
That's what we're exploring at the moment, actually, is both ways. So potentially using Street View kind of data to give real-world understanding and geographical understanding to our AI systems. And then on the other hand, you can imagine things like this, bringing to life static images of real places, whether it's your own holiday photos or actually Street View views, which are static currently, and actually making them interactive and 3D so you can look around the place itself.
Yeah. Interesting. I like just seeing different editorial perspectives. They just ask different questions, even if it's something we already know. It's just interesting to have it be someone like hear an answer from a professional, like, you know, CEO of Google, DeepMind, who Google's clearly in the lead, you know, one of the top AI contenders for consumers, at least, and even for, like, businesses, I guess, with Google Cloud. But just hearing a professional perspective and different questions from a different editorial perspective, I think is valuable. Last thing I'll say, and then we'll jump into some more chill stuff. I do... you know, there's been a lot of talk about what... I'm gonna try and say this. Right now, we have clear bottlenecks for why, at least somewhat clear, at least we have some understanding of what bottlenecks exist that we need to get past for AI to, get like, for us to get like AGI, ASI, all the fancy, 3-letter acronyms of the AI being really smart. Like that, like right now, the kind of the bottlenecks we have are like data, compute, and then, the supply chains for either of those. And those are kind of like the two like levers right now. But I think as we kind of go into the future and like AI gets smarter, it starts actually taking more jobs in a more realistic like sense, I guess. Like it's obvious that it's taking jobs now. Like right now it's still like kind of in certain niches like software engineering or tech, or like customer service. Like I don't know, just like it's still more niche. But as it starts getting more mass adoption, I think trust will be the bottleneck that the companies need to get over, or that we'll need to figure out. And I feel like they should be prioritizing trust over almost everything else right now. Because, we just watched 60 Minutes. It's like, those are boomers. Like, they are, like, scared of technology. But also, anyone will see something threatening if it's going to take their job, which a lot of people, their job is their livelihood. They get, satisfaction from it. And, there's also people who would happily give up, their shitty job for AI, assuming that there's some sort of social safety net or something that they could fall back on or get retraining, whatever. But I think trust is going to be the biggest bottleneck, and I feel like that should be prioritized over a lot of things. And especially if we're thinking about the fact that it's inevitable we are racing, quote unquote, with China for AI. So if we're assuming that we're going to get to a point where it's like, or we actually are racing and like we do want it to like take over the world in the sense, and so that it's going to be it's going to happen no matter what, I guess is kind of my point. We should be focusing on trust to make that much easier. We looked at the Stanford 2025 AI Index, and at the end they had the opinion section. China is so much more optimistic on AI than America, and I think that's going to be our problem. And a part of that is the trust. But it's that like a lot of people in America are like scared of technology too. But a part of that is because of trust. And, a lot of people are afraid of change and shit, but like, I think it's like this like trust thing, or like they see the bad things and they can't see the upside to it. And like that should be like what OpenAI, Anthropic, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Meta, like a lot of people already don't trust those companies like big tech. And then they're the one now pioneering and being on the frontier of AI. And like, they're going to have to build back trust into the, build trust to get the people to actually use, AI in terms of like mass adoption. Now I do think that there's going to still be a large subset. And I think right now, while we're still like a lot of people are using it, it's because they definitely see the upside more than the downside, i.e. students helping them with school, professionals being more productive, people, writing, diagnosing medical issues, asking it for advice, like therapy. Like the upside is still very high, but there's going to be a large portion who don't see that upside and still see the downside. And I think a lot of people who do follow AI closely now are very much inside the AI bubble. And once you leave that bubble, the opinion is completely opposite than what you expect. My girlfriend is not in the tech space at all, except via me. And, while I use YouTube as like my social media kind of app of choice, she uses Instagram. The opinion on her bubble in Instagram is like, fuck ChatGPT, And so it's like, regardless of the upside, they clearly don't see it, in that they see it as like, I don't know, like wasting energy or like water, whatever, whatever downside they see a downside better than the upside. Like those people, it's the trust that you're going to have to build with them to get them to actually like want to use it. And if we think about OpenAI, who's kind of pioneering like who's like on the at least the consumer side, the forefront of the consumer side. And I think I am talking about the consumer side mostly here, because the consumers will also ultimately be using this in the business too. But with OpenAI kind of pioneering the consumer side of things, it's like it's not really. Sam Altman's like a business dude, you know, like he's not like he tells you, he says how it is, like, you know, it's like he has very optimistic predictions and like all this stuff, but it's also he's setting high expectations is what I'm trying to get at. Solving climate change, solving cancer, solving aging, like they're literally, you know, claiming all these things about like solving humanity's like everything that's like wrong with humanity, I guess, or like all the downsides of humanity. They're claiming to solve those, and it's hard for people to imagine the gap between haha ChatGPT turned photo into Studio Ghibli to like solving cancer. You know, it's like that knowledge gap, like most like people, like they can't imagine that gap. And that's also part of the trust problem. But with Sam Altman kind of like saying things like that and going out and always like setting the expectations high, that means that you have like it's a larger gap for the trust. Like trust is down. If trust is here, he's setting expectations up here. Let's be real. You know, and so it's like, you know, it's going to be time. Like over time, we will close that gap. But with all the things I've said previously, like they should be prioritizing that now, because the expectations are going to continue to rise, especially as more money gets dumped into AI, like obscene amounts of money. You know, they raised $40 billion. That's a lot of money. The expectations will continue to go up, which will in turn make the trust gap, you know, larger and make it harder to get you know, gain more trust. This is also assuming that we get more incremental changes like we have now. Like we're getting, even though we're getting like lots of new models like O4, O3, Cloud 3.7, Llama Behemoth, like they're still like incremental improvements. And so it's like, you know, the bar chart is misaligned. You know, like if we have like a bar chart with like trust, expectations, and reality is probably you know, tiny portion of expectations right now. We're just not there yet for what Sam Altman is coming out and saying. But then trust is, you know, probably half of what expectations are. And like that is going to expectations are going to continue to grow, and trust will likely just stay the same, I think. Unless they make specific efforts. They make specific efforts to focus on trust. And I think that is what they should be doing almost more than anything right now. In AI 2027, which we looked at the whole thing, approval ratings go down before they go up. Sometimes you got to go down before you go up. Approval ratings continue to go down because of the threat, the perceived threat that it's putting on not only humanity, not only like your job, but on humanity. And if we seriously want for AI to do all the boring shit so humans can just do whatever the fuck they want, we need trust. So it's still early, you know, it is still early. But I think overall, like that, I think trust is what the number one thing that AI companies should be focusing on. Yeah. Thanks for listening to my TED Talk. See you next time. Yeah, I don't know. I've been thinking about that, and I just think I worry that we may have great technology, but no one trusts it. For whatever reason, I guess. Even if it is actually safe and whatever, it's just that, like, why should I trust it type of vibe. anyways, that's all I have planned for today. We'll be back tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific, for more news. No stream Wednesday, Thursday this week. No stream Wednesday, Thursday. I might do like secret gaming stream on Twitch one of the days, but like no news Wednesday, Thursday this week. But yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in and listening to me talk. Hopefully you learned something, got informed, or you were entertained. I'll take any of those. But we'll see you tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific. Appreciate everyone tuning in, showing up, hanging out. Subscribe, follow. For more emerging tech and corporate drama. What we cover here on stream. So see you tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific. Bye. Oh, I don't have my ending thing on my stream deck.